In the last episode, we set up the hypothetical system where our life forms will evolve. In Season 1, we will be focusing on Nusku, the closest habitable world to its star, and the fourth planet in the system. Nusku is tidally locked, meaning that one side of the planet always faces the star. Nusku is the second planet that life will appear on in the Roseus system. This happens 7 million years into the solar system's timeline. This life will be extremely simple and likely get all of its energy from hydrothermal vents. There is one extremely important thing that needs to happen before complex life can evolve. Photosynthesis is crucial to multicellular life. You need oxygen for respiration in the atmosphere so large creatures can exist. Unfortunately, Roseus has the same composition as TRAPPIST-1 and will have the same light levels as well. The red dwarf is low in visible light, and so the green chlorophyll that we're familiar with on Earth will likely not be used. On Earth, there are some photosynthesizers that use a purple chlorophyll that can absorb more infrared light that Roseus emits plenty of. So photosynthesizers on Nusku will likely be purple rather than green. Photosynthesis appeared pretty quickly on Earth, so it will likely take a similar amount of time on Nusku. 100 million years into the timeline, photosynthesis will appear on Nusku, changing the atmosphere forever. However, multicellular life will still take a very long time to evolve. On Earth, scientists have theorized that there is a Luca, or last universal common ancestor. This means exactly what it sounds like. Luca is the creature that all life on Earth evolved from. Nusku may have a similar Luca life form that derives into the many forms of life yet to appear on this planet. For a very long time, single-celled organisms have been photosynthesizing, and other single-celled organisms have been feeding on those photosynthesizers. The first multicellular organisms may evolve to feed on these plankton-like creatures. The first zooplankton will evolve 1.82 billion years into the timeline. They will have a set of feeding arms that may start at 8, but may narrow down to 7 after this creature picks a direction of motion. One of the 7 remaining arms may enlarge to help this creature propel itself through the water. However, this controlled movement will not be independent of the current, meaning this creature will remain plankton-like. The mouth of this creature will be in the center, so it can be reached by all of the feeding arms. The creature will respirate by absorbing oxygen directly into the body. It will reproduce sexually by releasing specialized cells known as gametes that are either male or female. If 2 cells of opposite genders unite, a new individual is formed. These bizarre creatures will be named Manuseptum, and will spread throughout the oceans on the light side of Nusku. Manuseptum bears a certain amount of symmetry. On Earth, creatures that move tend to be symmetrical along a single axis. This is called bilateral symmetry. Creatures that don't move tend to be symmetrical around many axes. On Earth, there are some creatures that are not symmetrical at all, like sponges. But most creatures fit into either bilateral or radial symmetry. Manuseptum will evolve to be radially symmetrical, but as it evolved to move, it became more bilaterally symmetrical. The photosynthesizers may also gain a multicellular representative around this time. Colonies of single-celled organisms may evolve to work closely together and eventually form a new organism. Perpungus will be sessile, and thus radially symmetrical. Being mushroom-shaped will maximize this organism's sunlight absorption. It will multiply throughout the shallow areas of the ocean in great numbers. Their tops will be purple, due to the purple chlorophyll that is primarily used on this planet, and their trunks will be a darker purple, almost black. They will reproduce asexually, meaning the child is an exact copy of the single parent, and they will have a system of root-like structures, although they won't be used for absorbing nutrients like plants, because they can absorb most of that from the water. Instead, these structures will hold Perpungus in place so that its wide side always faces the sun. On the ocean floor, there has been a massive buildup of all the dead phytoplankton and other early single-celled organisms that have existed for over 1.5 billion years since the beginning of life. There are also bacteria-like organisms feeding on this carpet of organic matter. Another multicellular creature may evolve to feed on this mat of dead and living organisms. It will be flat and bilaterally symmetrical with 4 suction cup-like mouths. It will move across the ocean floor similar to a snail, flexing muscles on its underside in a wave-like motion. This creature will have diverged from Manuseptum and Perpungus before the evolution of sexual reproduction, and so may evolve it in a different way. This creature may only create gametes of one gender. All of the creatures in this species will produce the same gametes, and any two gametes can unite to create a new individual. These cells will be released out of specialized pores on the creature's back, which may also be used to respirate, passively absorbing oxygen directly into the body. This method of respiration means that this creature will not be very large, only a few centimeters at their largest. They may also have a through gut, so that there will be a single exit point at the back end for waste. These plate-like creatures we'll name Pisces lamina. They will appear 1.83 billion years into our timeline, and become the dominant bottom feeders on the early ocean floor. Pisces lamina may become separated into two populations, one in the shallow Perpungus forests, and one in the deep dark zones. The Pisces lamina in the deep zones will remain the same, having evolved in that habitat, while the shallow ones may be pressured for new adaptations. The complex new habitat that these Pisces lamina inhabit may pressure for some new sensory hardware. Eyes developed pretty quickly on Earth, so a primitive eye may develop here as well. A cup of sensory cells may allow this creature to see a little bit. This adaptation may evolve alongside another. After these creatures eat all of the food on the floor of the forest, the marine snow may not be able to replenish because it is landing on top of the Perpungus. These creatures can climb the Perpungus to a certain degree, but being able to jump would give these creatures a significant advantage. So the wave-like motion of the ancestral Pisces lamina may evolve into a wave-like swimming motion in this new variant. This advent will select for a more streamlined body with a wider tail. This will not be full-fledged swimming, however, as this creature's respiration only allows this creature to move in short bursts. We will differentiate this species from their ancestors in the deep by calling them Cyclops lamina. They will appear 10 million years after their predecessors, 1.84 billion years into our timeline. While Cyclops lamina is evolving, Manuseptum may be diversifying as well. Between the ocean's surface and floor, there is a lack of biodiversity. A group of Manuseptum may find a home in this environment, filter feeding the marine snow as it falls past them from the surface. These creatures may be selected to be better and better swimmers, since the food is a little more scarce than on the surface or on the floor. So the tail arm will lose its feeding function entirely and become solely for locomotion. As this happens, its mouth will move further and further to the front of the body to eat more easily. So the back two arms may slowly lose their function as well, becoming more fin-like for stabilization. So this creature will only feed with its front two arms, which will likely broaden to aid in filter feeding. This creature will likely need eyes as well, as swimming requires a certain degree of knowing where you're going. At the ends of this creature's feeding arms, it may evolve 3 eyes on each side. These eyes will be extremely simple and orb-like. However, one more feature will be required before this creature can become an active swimmer. Right now, this creature's method of moving oxygen around the body is very inefficient. One trait may evolve to allow this creature to become completely independent of the current. Blood has evolved many separate times on Earth, and it allows the creature to reach larger sizes and do more strenuous work. There are several known types of blood, but this creature may opt for the copper-based option, similar to octopuses and squid on Earth. That means that this creature will have blue blood. This creature will also evolve a more efficient way of absorbing the oxygen. The remnants of the branching structures on the feeding arms of the ancestral Manuseptum may remain on the base of the tail and stabilization fins. These structures will have blood being pumped through them by muscular rings at their base. As they are moved through the water, oxygen will be absorbed into the blood through these structures and move throughout the creature's body more easily than passive respiration, allowing this creature to grow much larger. However, this creature's size is still limited by the fact that it has an open circulatory system, which is inefficient, and by the fact that it has no skeletal structure and is only holding its shape with primitive muscles, its blood pressure, and some stiffened tissue around the tail and arms. This creature will be named Caudabranchis and will appear 7 million years after Cyclops lamina. They are well adapted to take over many of the pelagic niches in Nusku's oceans. Naming and documenting every species on this alien world would be impossible and would slow down the project significantly, so these creatures mentioned in this video will represent only a portion of the species on this planet. In the next episode, we will explore how the advent of active predators influences evolution on Nusku. Thank you for watching.